Your life isn't out of control because you have too much to do. It's out of control because you've lost your sense of agency. I know that might sound harsh, but stay with me for a minute. Because what if I told you that the chaos of your life isn't the enemy, but a clue? What if the very thing that feels like it's drowning you is actually pointing towards something deeper that needs to shift? I spent years, not days, not weeks, but years in my early 30s feeling like I was doing everything right, but still drowning. Kids, business, church, home. I was constantly managing everyone else's needs, but barely touching my own. And I kept thinking, if I can just get it together, just get through this season. But that season just never ended. Because the issue wasn't my to-do list. It was that I had handed over the steering wheel of my life without even realizing it. I remember one Tuesday morning, I was running late for a meeting. My baby, who is now 17, crazy, he was a toddler then, he was having a meltdown because I gave him the wrong color cup, as one does. My phone was buzzing with urgent text, and I realized I hadn't eaten breakfast in 3 days, not because I was busy. I was busy, but because I had completely lost track of what my own body needed. And in that moment, standing in my kitchen, I started crying. I had this revelation. I wasn't living my life. I was just responding to it. Every day was a series of reactions to other people's needs, other people's timelines, and other people's definition of what mattered. So it turns out peace doesn't come from catching up. It comes from reclaiming ownership. I want to talk to you next about the psychology behind feeling out of control. So what's actually going on in life when we feel out of control? I want to break it down for you because understanding the psychology behind this feeling is the first step to changing it. There's this concept in psychology called locus of control. People with an internal locus of control feel more empowered, focused, and less anxious. They believe their actions directly influence their outcomes. People with an external locus of control feel tossed around. They're reactive, they're discouraged, they're stuck. They feel like life is happening to them rather than being shaped by them. So if your life feels out of control, it's not because it actually is, but because you've stopped believing that you can lead it. So think about it this way. When you were a kid, you probably had very little actual control over your circumstances. Your parents decided where you lived, what you ate, when you went to bed, but you likely didn't feel out of control because you trusted that someone else was handling the big decisions, right? Fast forward to adulthood, and suddenly you're supposed to be that someone else for your own life. But somewhere along the way, many of us never made that mental shift from someone else is in charge to I am in charge. You staying with me here? You get this? This is how we lost control. So how do we lose this sense of personal agency? I've identified what I think are 3 really sneaky patterns that make us feel powerless. The first one is over-responsibility. This is saying yes to everything and everyone. It's the belief that if something needs to be done, you should be the one to do it. It's volunteering for every committee. It's being the default household manager. It's taking on extra projects at work because someone has to do it. Over-responsibility feels noble, but it's actually a form of control. Not of your own life, but of other people's reactions to you. And that is not healthy. Number 2, reaction mode. This is living life like a game of emotional whack-a-mole. Something pops up, you react. Another crisis pops up, you respond. Your day becomes an endless series of urgent interruptions, and you lose sight of what you actually wanted to get done or who you even wanted to be that day. Sound familiar? Number 3, an unclear identity. When you don't know who you are, anyone else can define what matters. You end up living according to other people's values, other people's priorities, other people's definitions of success. You're busy, but you're not building anything that feels truly yours. How do I know what these 3 things are? Because I have lived in all of these patterns for years. I said yes to every opportunity because I thought that's what successful women did. I spent my days reacting to whatever felt most urgent, what was on fire that day, and I had no clear sense of who I was becoming. I was just trying to keep up with who everyone else needed me to be. So here's what I discovered through all of this. The one thing that brings peace isn't better time management. It's not more efficient systems, even though you know I love systems. It's reclaiming your ownership. not over anyone else's life, over yours. This means shifting the metric from what did I get done to who am I becoming. I want to introduce you to a concept that changed everything for me. The concept is called the gap and the gain. This comes from Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's a great book, and it's the difference between measuring forward and measuring backward. Living in the gap means you're measuring your life against your ideal version of where you, quote unquote, should be. It's the voice that says, I should have done more. I should be more successful. I should be more in control. And even on your best days, it never feels like enough. The gap is infinite. No matter how much you get done, there's always more you could have done. But living in the gain means you're measuring backward. It's like saying, look how far I've come. This is what I've learned. Or here's the woman I'm becoming. The gain creates momentum because it acknowledges your progress and your growth and your learning. The gap creates anxiety, and the gain creates momentum. When I started measuring my days by the gain instead of the gap, that's when things started changing. Instead of ending each day with a mental list of what I didn't get finished and all the things that went wrong, I started asking, what progress did I make? What did I learn about myself? And how did I show up as the woman I'm becoming? Now, you will see this kind of flow with what I'm teaching, with morning momentum, with evening reflection, with planning your week. That's why these questions on the Uplift app are so important, because this is how everything changes. This isn't just about feeling better, though you will. It's about reclaiming your sense of agency in your own life. You're not just chasing peace, you're building it, one identity shift at a time. Now, I want to anchor this in something deeper than just personal development. Scripture tells us in my favorite verse, 2 Timothy 1:7, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. God did not wire you to live overwhelmed. He's not waiting on perfection. He is partnering with you on the process. So if you feel out of control today, I want you to know that God is in control, that He is inviting you back into partnership, that this isn't about striving harder or doing more. It's about stepping back into the identity that He has already given you. Someone who has power and love and a sound mind. Because sometimes we think surrendering to God means becoming passive in our own lives. That's not true. True surrender actually makes us more active, not less. It's recognizing that we're co-creators with God in this life that He has given us. We're not meant to be victims of our circumstances. We're meant to be stewards of our calling. So how do we do it? You know me, I'm going to give you some practical steps. Getting really practical, here's how to start reclaiming your sense of control, and it only takes 5 minutes a day. Number 1, I want you to write an identity reminder. I want you to complete this sentence. I am a woman who. You know, I'm obsessed with identity reminders because so much in our lives comes down to our sense of identity. And we always hear identity, identity, identity. So many women come to me and go, I don't even know what that means exactly. That's why I'm always talking to you about identity work. So what could your identity statement be? It could be, I am a woman who leads her life, not just lives it. Or I am a woman who makes decisions from peace, not pressure. Or maybe I'm a woman who trusts herself to know what matters. I want you to write it down and post it where you'll see it every morning. This isn't about fake it till you make it. It's about reminding yourself the truth of who you're becoming. Step 2, I want you to choose one thing that you can control today. Not 10 things, just one. Maybe it's, I can control my words today. And you know most people can't. Or I can control how I care for my body. Or I can control how I show up in this moment. The key is to choose something that is completely within your power. Not I can control whether my kids behave, because you know we can't, but I can control how I respond to my kids' behavior. You see the difference? You can't control what you can't control. You can control only what you can control. Step 3, I want you to practice a 2-minute ownership reset. Whenever you start feeling overwhelmed or out of control, I want you to take 2 minutes and ask yourself these 3 questions. What's mine to own today? What's not mine to own today? And what would future me do right now? I want you to write these down. What's mine to own today? What's not mine? And what would future me do right now? These questions will help you distinguish between what you can control and what you can't. And they also help you make decisions from your future identity rather than your current stress level. I want you to hear me say that again. We want to make decisions from our future identity, not our current stress level. That helps us stay wise and helps us make good decisions. Step 4, I want you to try Uplift's guided reflection. If you're listening and thinking, okay, Allie, but I still don't know where to start today, I want you to open the Uplift app and do the guided reflection called Prioritizing Tasks When Overwhelmed. It's going to help you calm your brain, identify what matters most, and create a plan that feels peaceful, not pressured. It's written and spoken out from a Christian psychologist who is going to help you in so many different ways. So go to upliftapp.co, download Uplift app. It is free, and listen to the guided reflection called Prioritizing Tasks When Overwhelmed. Okay, step 5. I want you to track the gain, not the gap. Every evening, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. What progress did I make today? What identity am I strengthening? And how did I show up like the woman I'm becoming? Just do this for a week. That's all I ask. I want you to write down your answers. And over time, you'll start to see patterns of growth that you would have missed if you were only focused on what you didn't accomplish. See the difference between the gap and the gain? Let's focus on the gain, never the gap. And here's what I want you to remember. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're just being invited to lead again and to lead yourself well. The woman you're becoming already knows what matters. She's not overwhelmed by every opportunity that comes her way because she's clear on her identity and her calling. She doesn't say yes to everyone and everything because she knows her no is protecting her yes. She doesn't live in reaction mode because she's grounded in who she is and where she's going. So this week, I want to challenge you to choose one moment where you take the lead back. One brave yes to your own life. Maybe it's saying no to a commitment that doesn't align with your values, or you just don't have time for, or you just flat out don't want to do. Maybe it's choosing to speak up in a situation where normally you'd be quiet. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to sit quietly and ask yourself what you need in this moment. Remember this. This isn't just something that you're trying to manage. It's someone you're becoming. Small steps will lead to lasting transformation, and the world needs the woman you're becoming to show up fully in your own life. Act like her. She knows what matters. Okay, now future you is going to love the recommendation this week. I love it. So many people like weighted blankets. I've never really been able to use them because I don't want my feet weighed down. It feels weird. I get in my own head. Like, is this good for my toes to have all this weight? Even a light weighted blanket. But I discovered a small, like a mini weighted blanket from Amazon. It's like 2 feet by 3 feet. And I can just put it on my torso, put it on my chest and my belly. And it is amazing because I sleep on my back for so many different reasons. I sleep on my back primarily for vanity because if you sleep on your side, you'll squish your face and it'll give you wrinkles. Hello. I'm 48. This is what we're doing now. So I train myself to sleep on my back, but I like a little comfort on me, right? So the mini weighted blanket makes it easy. You can get them on Amazon, super inexpensive. They're fuzzy, so they're not loud. But if you've been interested in a weighted blanket, but you weren't sure about it, or if you've tried it and you just feel like you're being crushed, especially your feet, this is the answer. Okay, now, before we wrap up, I want to say thank you. Thank you that you're here. I'm grateful that we get to spend this time together. Every week you're showing up for your growth and your faith and your future and future you. That matters, not just for you, but for everyone in your life. I believe in the calling on your life. I believe in the dreams that God's placed in your heart. And I know that you're a difference maker. I want you to hear me remind you that you're stronger than you think. You're braver than you feel. And you are absolutely not alone. With God, you have everything you need. So keep stepping up. Keep showing up and loving well because you can't break a woman who gets her strength from God. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back with you soon. They believe their action. I feel like I misspoke. Hold on. Okay, back.